doing today?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing good. So we're here at the Toronto Film Festival, which is easily my favorite festival that there of all the film places. What's it mean for you to be a part of the festival and here with this movie?
Well, yeah, as you said, it's such a great festival. I mean, there's over 100 films here this year, I think even more. And I think their whole psyche is still very kind of festival-like. I think a lot of these festivals, after a while, they get quite glamorous and they turn into something else, and it's really nice. I mean, I've never had a chance to actually go around and watch films here because I've always been in and out, but just being able to be a part of the whole Canadian psyche even for a couple of days, which is so grounded in general, I think is really nice. And it's the biggest festival in the world. It's one of the biggest festivals in the world, so we were chuffed that we were able to get this in.
Totally. I had the before I go any further, I'm going to ask the generic question, which I'm sure you've had to answer, unfortunately, 1,000 times. For people that want to know a little bit more about the movie, because can you give like a one-liner or just a little bit about it, like the plot?
What's the tagline? You know, love will lead you home, basically. How I live now, love will lead you home. It's basically about two young people who fall in love and are separated by war and vow to get back to one another, to the place where it all started and where everything was perfect.
I like that. That's very good.
That should be the tagline. Longest tagline ever.
Talk a little bit about how you got drawn into the project. Was it something that your agents presented to you? Did you know the book?
Yeah, my agent told me about it. I think I had heard of the book before, hadn't read it, but my agent told me about it and really loved the script. And when he told me it was Kevin, I got really excited because I love Kevin, I love his work. And I love the idea of a documentary filmmaker, especially someone like Kevin, making a film about two teenagers who fall in love and then a war breaks out, and knew that he would do something really kind of quite raw with it. And I really liked that idea because it could so easily have been a bit wish-washy, and I don't think it is, touch wood. So yeah, so I was really excited about that. And then I met up with Kevin a few times over the space of about a year, because originally he just wanted all non-actors to do it. He wanted to go out and just find kids to be in this film. So I kind of had to fight for my part a little bit, and then I went in to read for him and got the part, and then we met George and everything, and yeah, and it was great, and it all just worked out really well.
I'm a huge fan of Kevin's work.
Yeah.
I think he's a very talented filmmaker.
Yeah.
One of the things he does in this movie that's really cool is the beginning half is like he switches formats the way he films it, from handheld to, and could you talk a little bit about working with a filmmaker that's going to not just do the typical, you know, medium shot, wide, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I really like that. I think for the first half of the film, between himself and Franz Lustig as well, who's the DP, and he had told me this before we started shooting, that it was very important to him that obviously the cinematography really reflected the mood and the atmosphere of the scenes and that sort of moment in time, but they kind of went a step further, and so for all of those really manic scenes between all the kids when they're at the breakfast table and they go to the river and, you know, they're chasing cows in a field and things like that, so much of it was handheld, and it meant that every single take that we did was entirely different to the last one. So it not only changed the energy overall, but it also probably changed the way we all did it every single time, you know. So it was very fresh and very kind of hopefully original, because we were all just kind of bouncing off each other. And also you didn't know where Franz was going to be with the camera. He could be on you, he could be on Harley, he could be on their pet goat, you know, he could be anywhere. So that was really nice because it just kept us all on our toes.
I've been asking this of everyone I interview recently.
Including Bryan Cranston?
Including,
so.
yeah, everyone. Everyone. What do you, is there anything that you collect?
When I was a child, I was an only child, I used to collect rocks. And I'll tell you why. Because rocks come in all different shapes and sizes. And there was another kid in the school that did it too. And it was a real bonding experience for the two of us. So we used to collect rocks.
Do you still have any?
Nope, no, I don't. I think I might have one, but I collected them for a while. And what do I collect now? Oh, you know those grandma lemonade bottles that you get in the States? You know the ones that you get in Whole Foods? They're
Yes.
like these big bottles and there's a grandmother on the front. And on the lid of those, if you turn it over, there'll be a little kind of piece of wisdom that this grandmother gives you. So it's like dance like, you know, it's your last day on
I know what you're
earth
doing.
and things like that. And they always have little pieces of wisdom on it. So I used to collect those and I have about maybe 15 of them at home.
Okay, so you clearly you spend a lot of money on what you collect.
Yeah. And a lot of time
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
With all of my friends.
I have to say that while you are very young, you have really impressed me with the roles you've taken and the ability to morph in between these different characters. I'm curious about your preparation process and how you've gotten ready for your roles, and what's the most you've ever done to get ready for a role?
I think the preparation changes from film to film. I'm not a method actor. That could change when I'm older, but I've never kind of been into doing that sort of stuff. I like to, if I can, be able to kind of dip in and out of it as much as possible. So I've always relied very much on instinct and kind of what happens on the day and through the information that the director gives you and what's written down and hopefully what's a strong script. You've got enough there to kind of give you the information that you need to do what you want with the character. So it's always been like that, but I think the most preparation that I've done would probably be for Hannah, just because it was so physical. So I had to train a lot for it. I did 2 hours a day in the gym, and then in the evening I'd do 2 hours of martial arts. And physically it was just an awful lot. It was a lot of focus that was involved and everything. But hopefully now next year, I think it's alright to say now, but hopefully I'm playing Mary Queen of Scots,
Yeah.
and that'll be the most research that I'll have ever done on a film. Because I mean, even when I do a film that's based on a book, I don't really like to read the book either, you know, because it's a separate kind of thing. But with her, there's so much to read about her and so much that I can do, so I'm actually really looking forward to it.
I've spoken to a lot of actors that really, when they're playing a historical figure, they will read everything they can, they'll learn everything they can, and
Yeah.
then they forget it all when they walk on set, but
Okay.
it's there in their subconscious.
Sure, okay, that's interesting, yeah.
I don't know if that's what
Yeah.
people tell me.
Yeah, well, I've never done it. No, that'd be interesting actually to just talk to a few people about it. It's kind of like that with accents as well, I think. You know, if you're learning a new accent for the first time and you drill all of those new sounds into your head and go over them over and over and over again and kind of, you know, really practice those sounds for as much time as you can before you actually start shooting, and then just kind of forget about the whole thing, but it's still there, hopefully. So it's the same kind of thing.
I would imagine that there are a lot of young women that
Yeah.
relate to the characters you play or want to talk to you about the characters you play. Is there one role in particular that when people meet you, they always want to talk to you about?
These are very good questions.
Thank you.
These are nice original questions. Let me see. I think it depends. I think probably Lovely Bones would be one that a lot of girls identify with. Hopefully they will with How I Live Now as well. Just because it's very much about a teenage girl, you know, and all the insecurities that we have and stuff. But yeah, I guess before that it would have been Lovely Bones. She would have been the most normal out of all of them, I guess.
I'm going to throw this out there. I run a site that is a lot of comic book movies we cover, and I definitely when I put on Twitter, I was talking to many people asked me to ask if playing a comic booky role is something that you'd be interested in doing, because there were a lot of rumors that you might have been part of the Avengers sequel.
Right. I'd love to. I would absolutely love to. I think even just getting a taste of that sort of genre with Hannah, which is kind of something that it turned into very gradually, was really exciting. You know, it was a whole different world. I find people who are into that kind of stuff, and I'm not really, but people who are really into it, so cool, and they're so passionate about it. And you go to places like Comic-Con and they just know everything about these characters. So yeah, I'd love to do something like that if I could.
Let me, if you don't mind me asking, did you go in for meeting for Avengers 2, or what am I missing here, or what do I?
For the Avengers,
Yeah.
no. I'm not doing the Avengers, so I think that was just
like
rumor.
online stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just throwing that out there.
Yeah, throw it out there.
I would like
throw
to
it right back at you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, it's just one of the things that I've spoken to. One of the things I've discussed is that there should be more women front and center as superheroes or leads in movies or whatever. That's why I was very happy to see The Heat do so well this summer. Buddy cop movie, 2 women.
Yeah. Did it do well?
It did very well.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's getting there, though. I mean, but this is the thing, though. The fact that we're even talking about this, whenever we see a film that has a female at the helm of it, it's still a big thing. It's still still a little bit unusual that we're even saying, oh my God, isn't it great that there's this woman that's leading this film. So it'll be it'll be great when it gets to the stage where nobody's talking about it really. It's just one of those things,
Totally. I just specifically into the comic book thing. I really do think that there's not been enough.
The comic book, yeah. You'd know more about that than I would, but yeah, from what I've seen, it's kind of been male dominated, which I don't think is right.
I agree.
Balance it out. Do you know what I mean?
100%. I definitely, the last time I spoke to you, I brought these things up and I'm going to bring them up again for people that are not familiar. You worked with Wes Anderson, one of my favorite directors, and you also worked with Ryan on his directorial debut. 2 projects I'm very excited for. What can you tease people about both films, and what was it like working with both filmmakers?
With Wes's one, to be honest, it's been the only time that I've come away from a film and thought, yeah, this is going to be great. Because you can never tell, but with Wes, he has a formula that just works with every single one of his films. And the story is fantastic. It's full of all these amazing characters that all really have a big part to play in the story. An incredible cast like Tilda Swinton, Ray Fiennes, Bill Murray, Ed Norton, Willem Dafoe, Harvey Keitel, all the incredible people, and they all come together. And I only have a few scenes in it, and Tilda only has a few scenes in it. Everyone has a little part to play, apart from Rafe and Tony, but it's so colourful and rich because of that, so that's really exciting. And Ryan's one is great because it was really the opposite type of filmmaking to Wes's one. A lot of it was improvised, a lot of it was kind of discovered as we went along, and it was really, really lovely to do that because the relationships that the actors started to establish with each other within the story almost started to change. So, a relationship between a guy and a girl, you'd automatically think, okay, it's going to be a romance, but it isn't. It's going to be a friendship, and because he said this and then she responded in that way, and everything was kind of a surprise every single day. We didn't know what was going to happen. So
one of the things, Ryan has worked with Derek Cinefrance, who I love, and Derek is all about filming. It has to be real. You have to really do what you're doing, and Ryan loved that. At least that's what he told me. Having to be in the moment and do it yourself. Has he used any of that when he was directing, where you really need to be doing these things? It has to be you in the moment. Yeah,
absolutely. It was absolutely that way, and it really reminded me of Derek. I've never worked with him, but I knew that was the way that he worked. And even I only got to see Place Beyond the Pines the other day, and it's the same sort of thing. Everything's so incredibly natural and real, and people stutter and mumble, and it's really nice to have that. And that was something that Ryan really wanted to do with this, But then at the same time, he had a very clear understanding of his story that he had written and the heart of it and where it needed to go. So yeah, he's right. You do need to do an awful lot more work because you're basically, in a way, helping him write the story or kind of carry on what he's already given you. So
totally. My last question for you. Obviously, I'm sure you're offered, interesting scripts. I'm sure you get to look at some cool stuff. Is there anything that you're specifically a genre or a type of role that you have not done, besides obviously Mary, that you are looking forward to or trying to do in the upcoming future?
I would like to do a musical. I'd like to do a musical, and I'd also like to do a silent film.
Really?
Yeah, and I decided that before The Artist came out, actually. I thought I would love to do one of those because some of my favourite scenes that I've done have been scenes where nobody speaks. And I really love doing that kind of stuff and just using your face and your eyes and, you know, little gestures and idiosyncrasies and things like that. So
a lot of actors, to get that role, they sometimes have to write it themselves. Do you have any talent by putting words on the page, or are you sort of like, acting is my thing?
I don't know if I have any talent in it, but I would love to do it. Just because you can get so much more creative, I think, you know, as much as I love acting, you are bringing out somebody else's vision, and that's very exciting. But I imagine that it's just kind of like times 10 when you're a director and when you've written your own story and that's finally coming to life, you know. So I'd love to do something like that.
Totally. I got to wrap with you, but listen, it's a pleasure to see you again.
It's nice to see you. Breaking Bad.
Right.
Last few episodes.
Wait, I haven't seen last week's, so please.
Oh, it's good. It's a good one. It
Right.
sets it up for the next one.
Yeah, let me hit stop.